everyone, answering questions about accounts, helping with events, and getting started taking control of your retirement. So one of the things I will let everybody know, all the education tonight is going to be just that. It's for educational purposes only, and all the education that we do provide, we don't provide any tax, legal, investment services. If that is a service that you do need, we would say, go seek some sort of legal representation or outside endorsement for that. But tonight is our self-directed IRA social. Just like tonight, we have this event in all of our cities, Houston, Austin, and Dallas, on the first, second, and third respective Tuesdays of the month. Houston kicks us off, Austin is that second one, and then we round it out with Dallas. These are, of course, great events just like this one. Every month we are bringing new speakers out, fresh content, providing you guys an outlet to network with other investors here in the area. Here in our office, and it doesn't hurt to have some pizza and some drinks as well. So we do thank you for coming out, bracing the chilly weather, and joining us tonight. But do be sure to register every month for them because we do have them here every second Tuesday of the month at 6:30. Some new events that we have coming up that we haven't really talked too much about. We have a free 3-hour online CE for realtors. So if you are a realtor, we have some classes for you guys to get some continuing education credits. This class is free. It is online. So you can scan this QR code. It'll take you directly to the registration page. You can get signed up and earn your credit hours that way. We also have something if you're looking for something a little more in person. This is a hybrid class, so not for realtors, but for CPAs. We are now offering a Cpe course. It's brand new. We just got allowed to provide this. So we are now offering this course as well. So this one's going to be on March 2nd. It's 2.5 hours. Since it is hybrid, if you do join us in our Houston office for the in-person portion, we will be serving lunch as well for that one. So great opportunity to get some credits there if you're a CPA. A really fun event that we are bringing back this quarter, Major League Investing. So if you had heard of our March Madness event that we did a couple years ago in Dallas, we did how to do a slam dunk deal in a small account. Well, this time we're kind of switching it up. We're taking baseball into account now, and we're doing how to hit a home run deal. So we're going to have a bunch of guest speakers coming out, sharing their case studies, and an umpire who's going to judge with the help of our audience to see who has the best case study. So somebody will go home as the MVP, but it's a really good opportunity to see how these creative strategies can be used in a self-directed IRA, but also give the audience a chance to participate as well, see what you guys are really looking to hear, what interests you, and how y'all can learn. So before I go too far, Houston, Austin, and Dallas, we're each going to have a lunch and learn. As you can see, kind of the same format. March 3rd will be in Houston, March the 10th will be in Austin, and then that third one will be in Dallas on March the 17th. So like all of our classes, this one is also free to register for as well. You can register on our website, which is questtrust.com. So the classes that you are hearing here tonight, the webinars that you visit with us on Tuesdays and Saturdays, those are all live streamed and saved to our YouTube and Facebook pages. So if you want to go back and watch this class or share the class with somebody else, maybe catch a class that you didn't get to during the day, you can always go back and rewatch them. Those are always available, like I said, YouTube and Facebook. If you're not really wanting any education but just want to network, we also provide the virtual networking happy hour, which is now the 4th Wednesday of every month. If you went to that one before, it used to be on the 1st and the 3rd Wednesday. Now it's the 4th. So we're kind of sticking to that format. Houston, Austin, Dallas, online. So join that one. If you have a service or a deal that you'd like to provide, you do get the opportunity to share your camera, kind of share that with the whole audience. That one's a good place to network if you don't really want the education. And then the last announcement is for the Quest Expo. So if you have been to the Quest Expo before, you know how awesome this event is. I would say the first couple ones that we did have had upwards of 500 to 600 people at them, over 40 vendors and sponsors. We had almost upwards of 35 to 40 guest speakers, panels, presentations, lunch sponsors, all sorts of things that we brought out to that one. And this year, we're actually providing new panels, probably making it even bigger and better than the ones that we've had. With the little COVID hiatus, we want to come back and really hit the ground running. So right now, tickets are in pre-sale. This is one of the only events that we do charge for, but I will let you know it is well worth it. So you can actually get registered. We have some Quest employees in the back. They can get you one of those tickets tonight if you'd like on the iPad, but those can always be found on our website as well. So if you would like to get in contact with us, this is our contact information, phone number, email. You can always chat with us on our web feature online, or if you'd like to just go ahead and schedule your consultation, this QR code right here will take you directly to that. So I'm going to go ahead and bring up Paul next. Paul has been a speaker with us before. He started investing in 2001, but really started as just a hobby. Didn't really become full-time until 2016 when he really hit the ground running. But with over 100 successful deals and many years in multifamily, he joined Viking and now focuses on identifying, purchasing, and actually managing those multifamily properties. He's a wealth of knowledge. He's earned his Bachelor of Science and his Master's of Education from Hyles Anderson. So I know that with all those years of knowledge and education, he will bring a great presentation today. So without further ado, I'm going to go ahead and bring you up. Let's give him a round of applause.
All right, thank you, Sarah, and the whole Quest team here. I'm excited to be here because I love Quest. I think they're the best. Can you guys hear me good enough? Okay. So I think Quest is the best. If you don't have, they didn't ask me to say anything, but if you don't have an IRA, talk to these guys. They're super helpful and some of the smartest people I've ever met. That just so knowledgeable with IRAs and things like that. So. Anyway, thank you for the invite to speak tonight. So I wanted to give you guys a little talk about 4 ways to build wealth in multifamily. And when I was kind of researching, I started to get really excited because I saw that when I was doing the math, I realized that you could 10x your investment in, and I was like, wow, you can 10x it, then you could 10x it again. And I'm going to share with you some of the things that I came up with. And so I hope it's a help to you guys. And then I guess at the end, we'll have questions or something.
Yeah. So
Okay.
save your questions to the end, or if it's a really good question, you can always kind of interrupt you and ask.
Yeah, you can interrupt or whatever. And if it's too much, we'll save it to the end. Or if it's not too much off topic, we'll go ahead and address that. But thanks for coming and thanks for having me here. Okay, so. All right, they already did the disclaimer, but I'll do it again. I'm not an accountant or an attorney, so this is informational and get your own advice, get it confirmed, all that. Okay, so 4 ways to build wealth in real estate, and you know, I'm in the multifamily industry. We've done a lot of multifamily. We've done more than 5,000 apartment doors, mostly in Atlanta, and we're focused on Texas and the Southeast. But the first way to build wealth in real estate or in multifamily is through cash flow. Now, cash flow, I don't think is like super exciting because it's just the money that comes, and I don't think you can really build wealth per se in just through cash flow alone. Does that make sense? Like you can replace your income, but you can't necessarily, I don't think you can necessarily build wealth. But the reason I include it as one of the 4 ways to build wealth is because passive income, that cash flow can replace your income and give you wealth of time. Some of us make good money, but we don't have time. And then some other people they have a lot of time, but they don't have a lot of money. So, but what if you could have both? What if you could replace your income and then also have the money to travel and things like that? Like imagine being able to go to your kids' games and or your grandkids, recitals and things like that. And hopefully this doesn't look like bragging, but because of the passive cash flow, we've been able to travel the world multiple times with our family, just doing neat things. And the great thing was when we were traveling, the money was still coming in because we had the passive income, the cash flow. Does that make sense? Do you guys like cash flow, or is it just me? Who likes cash flow? All right, most of us. Good. So there's just some of the deals. Some of these are from, we took a 2-month trip a couple years ago with, can you imagine taking 4 little kids around the world? We visited, I don't know, how many countries? By the way, this is my beautiful wife here, Eunice. Everybody say hi, Eunice. Hi, Eunice. All right. She loves attention, so just, give it to her. But we were able to travel the world for 2 months, going to, 6, 7 different countries, something like that, with 4 little kids. And while we were gone, the money just kept coming in because of cash flow, the passive income. So that's the first way that builds wealth. And it doesn't necessarily make you rich, but it does give you the freedom, right? Tracking so far? Okay, good. Okay, then the second way is appreciation. Oh, I got a screen up there. I don't have to turn around. Okay, who can tell me what appreciation is? Can somebody raise your hand or shout it out or something?
Increases value over time.
Yes, increases value over time. Okay, so real estate, on average, I saw some different numbers. So, if you came up with a different number, if you researched and found a different number, then, whatever. A lot of what I saw was that real estate appreciates 4 to 5% per year. I'm going to go with 4.5%. And you can see if you bought a house back in 1960, 1963, what it would sell for, and then what they're selling for today. Have you guys had any appreciation here in Austin lately? A little bit. Okay. Good. And that's what appreciation does over time. It increases in value, on average 4.5% per year. And then the rule of 72, I'll put the link down there if you want to take a look at that. But the rule of 72 says that if you divide the interest rate by 72, it'll tell you how many years it'll take to double. And that's also true for like the appreciation. So at 4.5% appreciation, your property value will double in 16 years. Does this make sense? Okay. Okay, so if you look at the price of a house in 1940, $9,800. How many of you would like to buy a house here in Austin for $9,800? Would you like to buy anything in Austin for? Okay. So 1940, and this is adjusted for square footage. So if the actual average was something like 2,900, but it's based on the same square footage for all of these. And you see how it grows over time. Now, let me ask you, how many of you are excited about a 4.5% return? Everybody raise your hand. You're excited about 4.5%? Okay, awesome. Nobody's excited? Okay. Okay, so I'm not real excited about 4.5% either, but what I'm going to show you in just the next slide here I think it will blow your minds. It just, like when I was doing the research for this, I'm like, wow, this is just incredible. Okay, so leverage is like jet fuel. It's like adding jet fuel to your appreciation, because the 4.5% doesn't sound all that exciting. But when you're using leverage, when you're using bank financing and you're financing a property purchase, you get leverage leverage combined with appreciation is just, I think it's just one of the most powerful things ever. Archimedes said, give me a lever long enough and a fulcrum on which to place it, and I will move the world. And this is true. Let me show you how this works. I think this is just crazy. Okay, hypothetical example. Okay, so you take $1 million to purchase a $5 million property. How many of you guys $1 million put down on a property? So you put $1 million down to buy a $5 million property. Now, the other $4 million that the bank is financing, the 80% is your leverage. $5 million purchase with 20% down, $1 million investment. And okay, now the rule of 72 says it's going to double in how many years? 16 years. Okay. Well, I want to show you how to 10x it, and it's going to take 2 more years. And by the way, some people are going to be like, well, 18 years is so long. But 18 years, it's going to come and go whether you do anything about it or not, right? And I'm not saying you got to do this, but the time is going to pass regardless. We've all seen 18 years come and go, right?
Just a comment, if you've ever raised children, you know that 18 years is just a blink.
Yep. It's going to come and go, and it'll be here before you know it. Our first rent house, our first investment property we bought in 2001. Our second property we purchased in 2005, 17 years ago. And we overpaid for it. We paid $56,000 for it, which at the time was way overpaying. And if you remember, that was kind of the, just before the slowdown and then the big drop later. But the property has increased in value so much over the last 17 years that it's like, wow, the time has come and gone, right? Okay, so $5 million purchase with 20% down. So let's say you have 7% cash flow just from the rent that's coming in, right? 7% cash flow on that $1 million would be $1.3 million over the 18 years. Then you would have appreciation of $6 million. Now, how much money did you put into this? $1 million. Did we just double our money? That's a lot more, like doubling it would go from 1 million to 2 million, right? But the property is increasing in value, not your down payment, not your investment is doubling. The investment property is doubling in 16 years. And over 18 years, it's even more than that. Does this make sense? You see how powerful this is, that you could invest this and you get 6 times back just on the appreciation? That's why the leverage combined with the cash flow is like the jet fuel. I think this is just the most powerful thing. Principal pay down. By the way, who's paying your principal down? Yeah. 1.9 million on your $1 million investment. And then, so you end up with you add up all those together, you have a total gain of 9.2 million off of a $1 million investment. So, I don't know why we got question marks there, but so 1 million turns into 10.2 million. You have your 9.2 million profit in 18 years. How many of us would like to have $10 million, right? What if you did it again? Then what do you have? $100 million. How many of you would like that when you retire? How would you like that, like today? Take it? Okay. Like when I saw this, I'm like, this is incredible. Are you guys excited about this? Are you more excited about the 4.5% appreciation? Isn't that just insane? Am I the only one that's excited? All right. Okay, I wonder what's next. But wait, there's more. Just when you thought it couldn't get any better. Depreciation. Okay, now we just talked about appreciation, and we said you get appreciation, but you also get depreciation. Yeah. So if you're not familiar with that, you may be like, wait a minute, I thought we were getting appreciation, not depreciation. Who can tell me what depreciation is in real estate taxes? Lots of savings?
Pretend losses.
Pretend losses? Write-offs, yeah. So depreciation is, the IRS lets you write off, in general terms, I'm going to generalize a few. If you guys are experts, then cut me some slack, because I'm going to generalize. Okay, so the IRS allows you to take 1/27.5 of the value of the cost basis of a property, and they let you take that as a deduction each year. Simple numbers, if you buy a $100,000 property, it doesn't matter what you put down, but you take you buy a $100,000 investment property, you place it in service on January 1, and then at the end of the year, you divide 100,000 by 27.5, and you get a write-off for that amount each year with like a rental property. Tracking so far? Yes.
Put your homestead and your Airbnb it out.
You generally can't take depreciation on your homestead, but does that answer your question?
Yes and no.
Okay. I was talking to somebody today who has a fourplex, and he was asking about depreciation, but he lives in it. I'm like, I don't think you can do that. CPA question, yes. So I don't think you can take a depreciation on the house that you're claiming as your residence.
In my experience,
Okay. Now, what does this depreciation do? Okay, so depreciation basically generally offsets your income. So let's say you bring in, after everything's said and done, you bring in $3,000 income, and on that $100,000 investment, you end up with a $3,000 deduction, or whatever that'd be, $3,300 or something like that. And so you bring in this income, this profit, but it's all tax-free because because you get that depreciation deduction.
Is that over like 12 months that you buy something like mid-year, or is that 27.5% like divided by the amount of time and that you've owned that asset based on the calendar year?
I'm glad you asked that.
Yeah.
So it's based on the date that you placed it in service.
If I bought it in May, then they would prorate it out.
You get 7/12 of 1/27.5.
That's good.
Can you have a 27.5? I don't think you can. But you get that picture.
Yeah.
Okay, so that's not like super exciting. And you're like, okay, how am I building wealth by not paying taxes on $3,000 of income? Is anybody wondering that? No. How many of you love paying taxes? Nobody? Okay. Somebody scolded me one time. I'm like, man, I got to pay so much taxes. He's like, don't ever complain about paying taxes because it means you're making money. I'm like, well, okay. So what we just talked about is called straight line depreciation. Now, how many of you have heard of accelerated depreciation? Man, if you haven't, man, this is like super cool. And this is better than baking soda. Accelerated depreciation, when you buy, and this doesn't work well on single family homes, although I suppose you could do it, or like really small multifamily, duplex, threeplex. But with accelerated depreciation, we are able to we're able to accelerate the depreciation. Instead of taking it over 27.5 years, we can front load the depreciation in year 1. How cool would that be? Are you getting a little more excited? I mean, you were already excited. So the accelerated depreciation, in a nutshell, we do a cost segregation study. That sounds hard, so I'll let somebody else do it. But the firm there's a lot of firms that do it, but the firm will do a cost segregation study because each item inside an investment property will have what the IRS calls a useful life. And they'll say that the carpet or the flooring has a useful life of 7 years. And the air conditioner has a useful life of 10 years. And the paint, and it goes down to, I mean, the nails, the screws in the drywall, and the paint on the walls. Each item, the electrical outlets and the roof and the windows and the siding, and all of that has what the IRS calls a useful life. So with a cost segregation study, we are the people we hire, they look at each one of those things, and then they depreciate those things in the first year. So over the life of the investment, you get a little bit less, but you're able to front load this in the first year, and it doesn't matter what month you place it in service. Okay, so last year was a really good year for us, and we realized that we were going to have an issue, and we were going to have to give a lot of money to our wonderful government. And I didn't want to do that. I wasn't a big fan of that. So at the end of the year, I bought a property, and I could buy this property with $540,000 down. Bought the property on December 16th. Now with straight line depreciation, and I hope I'm not getting like too much into the weeds here, because I know that depreciation's not what we think about for fun always, right? But I bought this property on December 16th, 2 weeks before the end of the year. So you should have, 126 times 127 and a half, like just a tiny fraction of depreciation. How about a $2.7 million property, just for myself, and $540,000 down payment, and the cost segregation people said that we can give you a deduction, a depreciation in the first year of $700,000. $700,000. Generally, and it kind of depends on, there's a lot of different factors, but you can a lot of times get somewhere between 80 and 120% of your down payment or your investment back in the first year. Is this exciting or what? Well, here's the deal. So, and then I had some cost segregation on some of the big apartments that we do. And, so I'll end up with a year with about $850,000 of depreciation on my apartments for last year, even though that's more than I even invested on that. Is this just insane? Like, you can make a fortune, you can make a lot of money and no taxes on it. And this isn't part of the deal, but down the road, you 1031 it into something else. And you just keep kicking it down the road, and then you pass it on to your kids, and the first $10 million per, inheritance per person is tax-free. I mean, it's like, this is amazing. Are you guys excited about this as I am? I'm excited. Yes?
Does your cost basis change if you do a cash out refi?
That's a good question. I don't think it does. Which I wasn't going to say this, but if you really want to take this a step further, then you own it for a few years, do a cash out refi, and then and then we'll take our $540,000 out or more or less, and then we'll buy another similar property, and we'll have 2 properties, and then we'll get the depreciation again, even though there was no tax event. Are you guys? I'm excited about this.
I think you gotta go back and backdate your taxes for a previous year if that happened and you were in that situation, or if past years.
Let me take his question, and then I'm going to answer yours. Yes.
There's one comment. I know a couple who pays for all their traveling, putting their house on Airbnb and putting their car on Turo. But I wanted to ask, I'd like to convert an inherited IRA. What are my options with that? Like to a self-directed IRA or to a Roth or something? I don't really want to I want to have some more flexibility.
I'm going to say ask the Quest people, because some of these people are, they are like so smart with this, and you'd probably tell pretty quickly that I don't know what I'm talking about if I tried to answer that. So, but if you have an inherited Roth, that's a really good thing. And that's about all I know about that. So let me take his question. I'll come back to you. Okay, so give me your question
I
again.
was saying, like, if you think if that depreciation model, if you filed a previous year's taxes and you didn't know that, you can potentially get a CPA or the firm that you're speaking of to go back and redo your taxes to negate the tax liability that you accrued.
Yes, it's yes. Oh, thank you. Okay, so the question was, can you backdate this depreciation? And the answer is yes. Now and I think you can even go back multiple years, but let's say that you're doing your taxes this year and you're like, oh man, I'm gonna get killed with taxes here. Then pick out the biggest property you have. Like I say, it doesn't work well on single family, but the higher price point and the higher the number of units, the more effective it is. Yeah. So, but you can actually do that cost segregation study up until the day you file the taxes. So if you do an extension, you're like, oh man, I've got all this. I need some more write-offs. Okay, let me depreciate this out. Let me see what that gives me. And then, so yes, you can actually do that. And you can even do it if you had it for multiple years. So you bought the property 3 years ago, and then you want to do a cost segregation study this year, or you want to do this year for last year, you can do that.
Does that work on multiple properties as well, or just one? You get one?
You can do it on all of your properties. Yeah. So that is just, I think that's just awesome. Yes.
If you don't claim a 1031 or you can't 1031 property, and instead you just sell it, don't you get zapped for depreciation recapture?
Man, I didn't know there would be this much interest in depreciation. This is good. This is great. There is some recapture of the depreciation, but it's not, you don't recapture all of it. And I would say get with, I can refer you to a couple of, and the question was, if you don't for the people online, if you don't 1031 it, then do you get zapped with taxes, or do you? So it's a partial recapture. So if you were going to sell it, say, if you're going to sell it next year, I wouldn't do a cost segregation study this year. But if you were going to do it like at least 2 years more, then it might make sense. Yes.
Just to clarify, it sounds like you're using the accelerated depreciation strategy as a tax strategy for money that you made elsewhere. So you said you had a good year last year. You made a bunch of money in your other business. And so as a way of offsetting your taxes from that other business, you're doing the cost seg accelerated depreciation to wipe out your tax bill.
Yes. So
you're not getting your down payment back, you're getting the taxes you would have paid on that windfall. Can you explain that with just a little bit more?
okay, I'm going to attempt to restate the question if I can articulate it. Okay, so the question was, if you made a lot of money on something else, then you could buy a property to offset your taxes, and then do the accelerated depreciation. It doesn't matter where you made the money. Now, there are some rules about if you're not a full-time, if you're not a what's considered a full-time real estate person giving 750 hours or more per year to real estate, then there are certain rules about how much you can depreciate and things like that. So I would just say get with your accountant. Some accountants have no idea what accelerated depreciation is, or bookkeepers. So, but I can refer, if you guys want, I can refer you to somebody that can answer that. Okay, last question, then we're moving on. Yes.
And if you do the accelerated depreciation, is that like a one-time thing that you're not going to be able to use that same property to depreciate in future years because you use that as a lump sum at one time?
Basically, you would do, okay, the question was, can you just do a cost segregation study once, or can you do it like multiple times over the years? You can do certain, if you do a big upgrade to a property, then you could depreciate, you could essentially, depreciate. You wouldn't be able to do a whole, I don't think you could do a whole cost seg study for it, but whatever you spent, you could break that out. And if you have any more questions, then we'll try to get to them at the end here. Okay, now how many of you are a little more excited about depreciation, right? So we've got the cash flow that's going to give us freedom, right? Freedom of time. And then we have appreciation, and then combined with leverage is explosive, and then we have depreciation. Okay, so let me share our strategy. And the reason I share this with you guys is because some of you are like, okay, I think that's interesting. I'm not sure, but I'm really busy. How many are like really busy? Like you're just, yeah. A lot of us are really busy and just don't have the bandwidth to attempt to do more than what we're already doing, right? Okay, so our strategy, by the way, these are some of the properties that we own. We've purchased 24 large apartment complexes, usually 200 to 400 units. Our strategy is to, and the reason I share this with you is if you don't want to try to do the hassle of trying to figure this out and become an expert in some different areas, then we can help you with that. Okay, so our strategy is purchase Class A and B multifamily in Texas and the Southeast using individual investors' money. So we identify a property, we talk to investors, hey, who wants to invest in this? We share the opportunity with them, and then we purchase large properties. Then we pay the cash flow. Remember, that's one of the ways to build wealth, or at least have time freedom, right? So we pay cash flow. I'm invested in one of these. I don't invest in all of our properties, but I invest in some of them, and I'm invested in other ones also. But I get a check every month or a direct deposit every month for my investment in that property. So, purchase the property, pay cash flow to our investors. We force the appreciation. Now you may be thinking like, wait a minute, I thought it just naturally appreciates on it. It does, but when it comes to commercial properties, it's really bought not like single family where you have the comparable properties and what the house down the street sell for. With the multifamily, it's really a business that you're buying. Does that make sense? So you're not saying, well, whatever it is, $200 a square foot, down the street, and so on this, you're buying a multiple of the profitability. You may have heard the cap rate, which is just essentially a multiple capitalization rate. It's a multiple of the profitability. So when we are able to increase the income or decrease the expenses, then we increase the overall profitability. Net operating income. It's kind of a fancy word that essentially means profit before you pay any principal or interest. Mortgage interest. So in this case, elevate at the blank there, elevate at the main. We own that's supposed to be Veritas, but I guess something got messed up in translation here. So we own the property across the street. We own Veritas. And so when the opportunity came to purchase Elevate at the main, Elevate at the Point, actually, Elevate at the Point, formerly Liberty Point, when that came on the market and that opportunity came to us, we're like, we know exactly what we can do with this because we've owned the property across the street for 3-4 years. We know what we can do with that. And so we've done enough business that we can identify opportunities to improve the profitability. Make sense? And so when you improve the profitability, then you're forcing appreciation. You guys do this too, right? Okay, next. We accelerate the depreciation. So when an investor invests with us, they give us $100,000. First year, we do accelerated depreciation, cost seg study, and then that that depreciation passes straight through to the investors, pro rata, basically whatever they put in, that percentage, whatever percentage they put in, that's what percentage of the depreciation they get. How cool is that? Like, you don't have to do this on your own.
If it's in my IRA or my.
Yeah, that's a good point. I meant to mention that. That's a good point. So if it's in your IRA, sorry, you don't get into depreciation because it's already growing tax-free. So IRA money, this won't help you. But
Appreciation does.
yes, yeah. Thanks for pointing that out. Okay, and then next, we like to sell in 3 to 5 years. We improve it, we sell in 3 to 5 years. We try to get an 18% return on average, not compounded, to our investors. And we've been really fortunate because we've delivered more than 24% average annual return to our investors over the 24 projects we've done.
Paul, are you talking about a master lease option?
A master lease?
Master lease option.
Mm-mm. No, we buy large apartment complexes. We raise money from individual investors. We do all these things that build the wealth, and then we sell in 3 to 5 years, and then you get your great return. By the way, when you do this, I did the math on this. When you invest this way, returns are going to look similar to your 10xing in the same amount of time. So, which is really cool because some of us are, real estate is just a way to make a little extra money or build some wealth or, build a retirement. So, yeah, so is that all? Okay, so if you have questions, here's my contact. If you want to take a picture of that, there's our website, vikingcapllc.com. You're welcome to email, text, call. I love talking about business and real estate. And, however it can help you guys. I hope this was interesting and informative. And, I know we had a few questions, which we'll, if we have time for that, then we'll do that.
We actually do have a mic that we can pass around now that it's kind of like the Q&A session. So if y'all do have questions, go ahead and raise your hand and I will love it.
Okay, please bring the questions. I was going to say the harder the better, but
Awesome. Thank you for that. That was awesome. I can also say really quickly, Paul is very helpful. I met him in the parking lot one time when I was trying to come to one of these events and they canceled it last minute. And he told me all of this and I tried to keep up without slides. It was very difficult. My question to you is, what makes it not as effective for single family? Is it because the cost of hiring a firm to come in and do that cost segregation study kind of offsets the possibility of what you could get out of it for something as relatively low cost as a single family?
Yeah, so I paid $8,000 for my cost segregation study. And relative to the price of a single family, you're probably better off just to pay the taxes on it and, just find something else to depreciate.
So you would say, as a rule of thumb, think about the percentage of depreciation you could pull out of it versus the cost of that study.
Yeah, that makes sense. And I'll give, I don't know if I can, KBKG is a company that does that. Madison Specs. Do you guys do cost seg studies? Do you know who you use? Offhand? Okay. And we use somebody else, and I don't remember their name either. So, but there's a few companies. I'm using KBKG and for what I'm doing personally. Who's got the mic? Andrew's got a question. Okay.
I was just curious, how would you find, what type of company does the cost seg study? Is it some kind of like CPA or is it
I think it's kind of a hybrid of engineering and CPA. And they do, the one I'm using, they put engineering stamps on it. They back us up. If there's IRS questions it, then they stand behind and they've never, whenever the IRS sees that it's this company doing it, then they're like, okay, you're good. It's been around, I think, since 1979. Does anybody know cost seg studies? So, yeah, but it's totally legal, totally legit. It's been around for a long time. So, yes. Oh,
Yes, Paul. Interesting Gmail address there. Paul develops leaders. Do you train people to do this, or what might we infer from that?
Well, I taught high school for 3 years, and then I was part of a leadership development group. And I try to, wherever I go, I just try to add value and just make people better because of my path. So we do have, Viking Capital does have a Viking University that actually educates people how to do this if they want to be the ones taking down big deals and things like that. So you go to vikingcapllc.com and you can get some more information on that if you're, we've got some, videos and webinars, and then you can pay for a course that'll, some one-on-one coaching and stuff like that.
Thank you.
You guys have questions. This is great. So,
and taking down a lot of these big deals that you're doing, what is one of your main strategies that you guys use to attract and find your equity partners and investors that go into some of these syndicated deals?
good question. So so two of our partners are physicians, and so they have a network of a lot of doctors, and so that's been a big help to us. So for us, it wasn't always easy to raise money, but now we have, we get all the money we need for deals, and it's mostly through doctors, just personal connections, and they invest. First time they give us $50,000, next time they give us $100,000, the next deal they're like, you know what, let me give you $500,000, and the next thing we've got, some of our investors have several $1 million invested with us.
You mentioned,
and then the word spreads.
You mentioned you guys have an academy or like Viking University or something. Is that through that education on real estate you guys do? Does that help bring people to?
Yes, it does. Because some people are like, man, I want to do this on my own. And then they get into it and they're like, man, I'm really busy with work. Let me just give you my money and you guys do it for us. Delivering 24.5% return on average annually to our investors. Word spreads. And then actually on our last deal, Liberty Point, we've had the money raised in 6 days, sent out a couple emails, the money came in. So we've been really fortunate about that, but it took us a while to get to that point where we, reputation spread and things like that.
How many years have you been doing this?
I got into commercial real estate in 2014. And I was just buying commercial properties on my own. 2016, I got into multifamily. I was with another multifamily group before, and then I joined Viking about 8 months ago. Yep.
You actually partially answered my question, but what is typical buy-in increment for a new investor coming into investing in your company?
Generally, the minimum is $50,000, and for lately, we've only been taking accredited investors. But if you're not there, I can certainly refer anybody to some other great people that could help. Usually, mostly what I see is 50,000, sometimes 75, and I've seen as low as 25,000 buy-in. Any other questions? Keep them coming. You can even ask about depreciation if you want.
I see the 219 area code there. Where are y'all located?
I live about an hour north of here.
Okay.
In Copperas Cove. I went to college in Indiana. And
where's Viking? Do y'all have it on Viking's office?
Viking is in Tyson's Corner, Virginia.
Okay.
Oh, no. Yeah.
I own a few single-family homes, and I want to make a jump into multifamily, but I've never done that. So I'm also an agent. What I've been noticing, and obviously I'm just looking at the Austin market, duplexes, triplexes, fourplexes tend to stay on the market for a really, really long time. I mean, I'm seeing some deals sitting on the market for 6 months, 12 months. Kind of amazes me, but when I come here and I see all the benefits and all that, and that's been one of my biggest hesitations is investing in duplexes, triplexes, because I'm seeing the demand or like deals are not getting picked up as fast as single family homes. We're seeing multiple offers. What are your thoughts on that? Why do you think that's happening? Or and these are like regular Class B, Class C, triplexes, fourplexes. I'm kind of amazed to
Yeah.
see that.
Well, there's a lot on that question. About that for about an hour, but I don't know. I mean, where I'm at, even the duplexes and threeplexes, fourplexes are getting snatched up. And what's going to happen with the economy and inflation and all that, anybody's guess. So you want to pass, or did I answer your question? And I would say if it's been on the market for that long, give them a low ball offer and get.
This goes back to that question about living in a fourplex. Could you put that under an LLC and then basically pay rent to yourself and by paying it to the LLC?
Because it's on your Schedule C, I always get the Schedule C and E confused. So if it's the other one, correct me. Because it's LLC, if it's a single member LLC, it reports on your Schedule C, Schedule of Real Estate Owned, and then so it would go back directly to you. So you wouldn't. I don't think you'd be able to do that. These are great questions. I'm glad you guys brought questions. I don't think it would, because you ask, would that solve your depreciation problem? I don't think it would, because it goes directly on your Schedule C that files right along onto your 1040. And so I don't think you'd be able to depreciate that. Any other questions? You've been smiling the whole time. You got to have a question. You're just happy? Me too. This is good. 15 years is so long. You want the harvest later? Plant right now. Wait till she brings the mic. She's coming.
You mentioned the 18 years, but do you sell your multifamily or in your multifamily apartments on year 5?
We typically always project on 5 years.
5 years, okay.
But if we can hit if we can hit our numbers earlier, then we'll sell it.
Okay, yeah, because we refinance year 2, get the principals to their investors, and then
Yeah, I'm
come
familiar with
around
that
year
model.
5.
I like that.
Yeah, I mean it's makes it cleaner and better for the investor. But
Mhm.
but year 5, we try to look at it like that's the possible year to sell it, but we may keep it if everybody's happy and wants to continue.
Okay.
Yeah, so
Yeah, ours is always projected on 5 years. And we normally sell it in between year 2.5 and year 3.
Okay.
Yeah. Any other questions? She's about to shut it down. Better ask now.
All righty. Well, if you do have any more questions, Paul will be here, I'm sure, for a little bit longer. We'll also be in the back if you have any, self-directed IRA questions as well. But let's go ahead and give a really big round of applause for Paul. Thanks for coming out. All righty. So this is the part of the night where if you'd like to continue networking, feel free to do so. We do still have some drinks. I think there's little bit more pizza if you'd like to grab another slice. But remember, do get registered for all those free events that we have coming up, and keep the Quest Expo on your radar. That is going to be our biggest event of the year. We'd love to have you out. Grab your tickets before they go up, and we will see you next month at the Self-Directed IRA Social. Thank you so much.